All right, we are live. Welcome to a brand new episode of Fins Talk Overtime. I'm your host, Bobby Melendez, joined by Alex Atia Chisca, Goon Squad host, and Goon Squad co-host Neil. Neil, what's up, brother?
Hanging out, man. Hanging out. Ready to talk some Dolphins for a change.
That's right. And Alex Atia Chisca, usually talking Miami Heat, but he's here today as a guest of Overtime to talk Miami Dolphins. Of course, Brett Legassi joins us as always, but he will be just a few minutes late, but that's all right. So first off, if you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button to the Fins Talk Network. Check out the Twitter page, of course, at Fins Talk Network on Twitter. And let's get this ball rolling. There's so much to talk about because the season is right around the corner. Preseason starts week 1. The Buccaneers versus the Miami Dolphins. It's preseason, but it's still football. We're excited for it. So much to talk about. What's up, Steve? Good evening, sir. Thank you for tuning in. Now, man, let's start off with this. As we're waiting for Brett to come on, what I want to do, first off, Alex, is to introduce the Dolphins, the Dolphins that watch this show. Yeah, at least Brett is consistent. Nah, it's all good. I think he's all good. He runs a little late, but that's okay. But Alex, I want to introduce everyone to you because if they don't watch the Goon Squad, I want them to get to know you. So we're going to talk about your Dolphin fandom today. And so what I want to start off first is when and where and why, basically, how did you become a Dolphins fan? Let's start with that.
Well, in all honesty, man, growing up, obviously as a Cuban kid, my first love was baseball. But someone moved into my block when around 1992. I was like 5 years old. He was 4. And we started playing football. And it woke up this passion in me. I've always been an athlete, so it was natural to me. But believe it or not, Bobby was the one that got me into Dolphins football. Mind you, this was 95, 96. So it's kind of towards the end of Marino's career. So we didn't see the Marino that the heyday Miami saw. But I fell in love with the game right at that moment. Even at the time, I believe Tony Martin, O.J. McDuffie were his receivers. The tight end, Tony Drayden. I loved him too. Cecil Collins, Jimmy Johnson. That Jimmy Johnson era was to me the magnificent, and it didn't end so well, the Jimmy Johnson era. So I remember that vividly. But my fandom started late 90s because of Bobby.
So just full disclosure to people who don't know, Alex and I
exactly.
grew up on the same street, been friends for almost 30 plus years, best friends, brothers.
That's correct.
So thank you, Steve. Yes. Steve says, great job, Bobby. I'm happy. So Alex, yes, we got the later years of Marino, man. We saw the 1999 Marino, the devastating loss. He wasn't the same guy. But our Dolphins was Jay Fiedler, Ricky Williams, Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Lamar Smith, who's the running back before Ricky. Neil, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep, all those dudes. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Woo.
So Alex, when looking back on those years, who was your favorite Dolphin growing up or Dolphin players?
Well, my favorite Dolphin player at that time was Jason Taylor. Taylor, right. Zach Thomas was a close second. And, of course, Ricky Run. You had the dreadlocks running crazy in Miami. Well, for 2 years, we probably ran him to the ground. But those were exciting times when it was just round and pound. But I still say Jason Taylor, at that time, the most dynamic defensive player in the NFL. That was always caught my attention. And I'm not going to lie, Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain. I had a thing about them, too. I thought
that defense was great, man. Back then, Brock Marion, Pat Surtain, Sam Madison,
Walker,
Tim Bowens, Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas. That Dolphins defense didn't disappoint,
at all.
It was the offense that always was, with the quarterback position. 20 years later, the same.
Yeah, but, no, don't start. I'm not gonna mess up on your show. I promise. I'll be here.
But Alex, do you for us? For our age, Dolphin fans, you, me, Neil, we didn't have the luxury of watching a Super Bowl win. I just had this on Fins Talk today. They were having to talk a bit because of the suspension with Stephen Ross and because he was trying to get Tom Brady. And they're like, even if it meant not winning a championship, if we had to sign Brady, it was some kind of conversation. And I said, that's crazy. We've experienced, Alex and Hialeah, 5 championships. Sports championships. 3 with the Miami Heat, 2 with the Marlins.
Florida Marlins.
All 5 were great. I mean, you go down, my mother just told me this because I was confused. The street, Alex, that we hit the pots and pans 42nd Street.
Oh yeah,
Driving down
49th
at
Street.
midnight, 49th Street. Neil, we hitting those pot pans. We're screaming. People don't care. We got school tomorrow. We're going nuts.
I was in Miami for the Marlins wins. So
Were you?
I
Man.
know a little bit about that.
My mom actually in 2003, my mom signed. I actually took a signed note from my mother, excusing me from school because I went to the Marlins parade verbatim. She wrote, "My son went to the Marlins parade." I'm like, "Mom, if you do this, it'll be awesome." She did it. She signed it. She dated, and they excused my absence. But I was in the parade.
Wow.
For me, it's like those were amazing.
Yeah.
Those are times I'll never forget. But you don't know how much more it would mean if the Dolphins won the Super Bowl.
I would fly to Miami.
I would fly to Miami.
Bro, Miami will burn down,
Ralph,
dude. They will burn Miami down.
Oh God, dude. It's like so. Like yes. Like I know it's easy. What's up? What's wrong with us?
Dude, like I can
what's
tell
up,
you right
California?
now. Yeah, I can tell you when I think about it. When I think about it, I get emotional.
I'm with you. I legit probably will cry.
Oh
the
yeah,
Dolphins
I
win
would
the Super Bowl.
stop.
If and when God willing.
Yes, God
I
forbid.
would. That's how much I love the Dolphins. So
Yeah.
Alex, talking about that, some of our favorite memories, right? For me, it's just kind of sad. Not, you have the Miami Miracle, right? But it's not even that. It's the Cleo Lemon game when the Dolphins were 13, and it was Baltimore overtime. Lemon,
Camarillo.
Man.
Camarillo's in motion. And after he breaks free. It is a touchdown. I remember. I was at my grandparents' house. I was jumping at tears. That's probably the happiest, one of the happiest moments, which is pretty sad.
It is.
But
it is.
I agree with you. I remember where I was.
Yes.
When Camarillo scored the touchdown. And I should not remember where I was.
I'm the same way. I was at my grandparents' house on their couch, jumping with my brother Harrison, going crazy that we won. Like I was with Alex when we thought we were going to get Brady Quinn. We thought we were getting that franchise quarterback. We're like, we had a draft
Jesus
board.
Christ, man.
Alex, right? We had a draft board and everything. I had something done up at my dad's house. And we were like, we got our franchise quarterback. We got him. Ted Ginn Jr.
Yeah.
What?
And his family. And I believe after we protested for so long, they finally changed the draft rules, and it wasn't no longer 15 minutes per pick. Do you remember how long we waited, Bobby, in that garage, watching the draft live? We waited almost 2.5 hours just there sitting, dying slowly.
I think we did by not picking him and him going to Cleveland. We ruined his career.
I think if he would have went to Miami, I think he would have been. I agree with you. 49th Street, man. It's just 49th Street is awesome. But
he went to Cleveland to die.
What was your favorite memory as a Dolphins fan?
Man, bro, to summarize, I would say, honestly, I knew we were gonna get smoked the next week, but I'm gonna say Lamar Smith in the playoffs when he carried the ball for 40 times for 209 yards. That was my favorite moment vividly from that era, because after that, what sucked about us that we knew we were competitive, but we always knew we would flame out. Like we would have a 10-6 season, 9-7, and we would do nothing. So it come playoff time because we didn't have the firepower. So that part right there, that we dominated the team in the playoffs, that was my favorite part of that era.
That's why I can't hate on that era with Dave Wannstedt even Jimmy Johnson, but Dave Wannstedt. What's up, Cap for Life? Okeechobee Road, you know it, brother.
Whoop, whoop.
But Dave Wannstedt, Jay Fiedler, Ricky Williams, or Lamar Smith before that, Chambers, Gadsden, Randy McMichael.
Chris Chambers. Chris Chambers, bro.
You're not a real fan.
So
Orlando Gadsden. I love Orlando Gadsden's one-handers. That's my favorite right there.
Randy McMichael. That defense.
Randy McMichael.
That's why I can't hate on that. When people go, Jay Fiedler. No, they won. They went to the playoffs and actually won a game. The Dolphins were fun. They were fun.
And we had decent talent. Now that you notice that we ran all those names, we had decent talent, man.
Yeah, Chris Chambers was a better receiver than most of the guys we've had since this recent era.
Talk about this time frame, man. We're talking about wide receivers, and later on we're going to discuss about the current wide receiver situation for Friday. Last year we were just begging for healthy receivers, for starting receivers. We had one in Jalen Waddle. This year we're overflowing. We're looking to trade. So, and of course, I guess we're showing our age to our viewers here, like California and Steve. California saying youngsters. Hey man, but listen, those were the days. And but hey, good times might be coming here. So, Alex, now talking about your history as a Dolphin fan. So let's talk about your thoughts on the current Dolphins, Tim, because we do know what I think. We know what Neil thinks. Neil's been on the show a few times. So let's follow up with you, and then we'll talk about current events. So Tua's been our quarterback for 3 seasons now. This is going into his 3rd year, of course. You know, he was drafted with the 5th overall pick. High expectations from a lot of fans, most fans, especially Dolphin fans. You know, he's a prolific quarterback in college. Comes into the NFL. Brian Flores is his head coach. Fitzpatrick is the starter. He doesn't start for the team. The Dolphins are winning. They pull Fitzpatrick midseason. They put Tua in. Tua struggles. They take Tua out. You know, they're in and out like ping pong. Next season, he gets hurt. You know, and so you have people that are obviously want to see the potential of him or believe in the potential of Tua. There's other people that don't. They say no, he's just not that guy. This offseason, though, Dolphins turn around. Of course, they fired Flores, hire McDaniel. McDaniel, an offensive coach, but also he has a different vibe to him. You know, he brings a different fire. He seems like he has Tua's back, which whether you believe in Tua or not, it's good to see for your coach. The vibe with this team is different. So first off, Tua, how did you feel about him coming out? Were you for Tua when he came out for the draft? And secondly, how can you summarize his career up to this point?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I wasn't for Tua. I didn't deny he was talented, and I believed he was a Kyler Murray type of quarterback. And I thought he would be successful in the NFL. I wasn't 100% for him. But having said that, when he did come out, the setup here in Miami was basically for him to fail in the regards to he was recovering from hip surgery, major hip surgery. I still don't understand what was the reason for playing him that first year. You can kind of say like, oh, to see what we have. But like you said, Bob, we had Fitzpatrick. We were winning. We would have benefited as an organization if we let Fitzpatrick play that whole first year, led to a sit, recover, because then he never really got to recover. They put him into game action, and people started questioning him. And we know our fandoms. We are very biased one way or the other. There's really no middle ground with a Dolphin fan sometimes. So the moment you start seeing failures, then you start calling them out. And then you start analyzing, not excusing, but what position have they put him to be successful? So I genuinely believe this is the first year that Tua is in a position to be successful. This team will play to his strengths. This looks like kind of the Alabama setup that he had. People questioning his arm strength. That's one thing I've never understood. People questioning his arm strength. We saw what Tua was able to do in college. I understand the speedy receivers, but when you have a talented quarterback, when you have a quarterback that's going to be on the move and a quarterback that is accurate, what is it that you're missing? You need speed. So you saw the difference even with Waddle last year. Now you have Tyreek Hill. You have other weapons. So you needed the right mindset to put this quarterback in place to succeed. Mind you, coaching is very important. We've talked about this. Developing in the O-line, coaching of the O-line, key free agents that were signed for the O-line, which is still in a developmental process. But I believe Tua has all the tools right now. Number one, he's healthy. His mechanics have improved. His charisma is nonstop, so we understand that. And when someone believes in you, it gives you the courage to be even more of a leader, be a little bit even more outspoken, lead your game. So he has a head coach in place that is not only smart, creative when it comes to offensive designs, schematically, but he has the persona that will gravitate towards star athletes like that, because he's the epitome of a player's coach is Mike McDaniel. He lightens up the room. He holds you accountable because he could be a serious man, but he has all the intangibles that every rookie head coach needs to be successful in the NFL and to put Tua in places, the offense in place to finally succeed. Because people want to see entertainment. People want to see a fun offense. But it's not only about being a fun offense, it's being productive, winning football games. And they are exciting, but they are also productive by what we see. Obviously, I understand it's just training camp, but you see the possibilities. And the only thing I would never question is, for this offense to be successful, you need a quarterback that's accurate. And we have that. So I think sky's the limit this year offensively. And defensively, it's even another step further.
So okay, so you obviously, I think everybody, no matter where you stand on Tua as a quarterback, as a franchise quarterback, we can all agree that he has not been given the tools to succeed, whether it's to the support or whatever. But what I'm hearing from you though is this season, especially, you expect big things from this team this season.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. This is, to me, and I won't take up one more time in regards to this. I'll summarize like this. This is the first time that I believe in my existence that I've seen a balanced football team where I say there's equal amounts of talents everywhere, even in the offensive line. And the offensive line is still young. It's still developing. It's still growing. We signed Armstead. We signed Williams. They are still evolving parts, but what they needed was coaching. Even in the offensive line, I see talent. Not that I'm saying all-time talent, but overall, this team is the most balanced, exciting football team I've ever seen here as a Dolphin.
Now, let me go ahead and put this here. And he should have sat out a year. I agree. Yes, I agree. I believe that Tua should have sat out. And hold on a second. Oh, wait a second. Somebody's shaking their head backstage. They want to get in here.
Who could it be?
Let me in on this one.
Boom, boom, boom.
What's up?
What's up,
Hey,
Brett?
bro,
What's going on? What am I hearing?
What's up,
He
Brett?
should have sat out a year. What's going on, fellas? How we doing?
When you started the show, when
all
you started
fired
the
up.
season, when you start the season sitting out, should have just left his ass out, especially when you're winning. That's my point. If you don't start him, then you sit him. I think that kind of butchered him a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's what I meant by that.
Okay. But I mean, like, once he was clear, I was like, whatever. They cleared him medically. He's good. They'll put him on the field because I want to see what you got right away. I need to see it right away. I mean,
But the
Fitzpatrick
reason
in
why,
my future. I need to see it.
no, he's not. But the Dolphins were winning. That was the thing. The Dolphins had a winning record until they kind of floored.
Well, I think that's where that wedge came with Fitzpatrick or with Flores and management. I think I really think somebody somewhere. I don't know who. I've always been told from people that talk to others that it's Greer pushing the Tua thing. That Greer is the one that has always been Tua and everybody else. So Flores, I think that was the first wedge right there. And I think Flores was pressured to start him, and that's why he started them against the Rams. I guess to kind of like prove like, see, he's not ready. We're gonna put him against this top defense. Yeah, see, he's not ready. Whatever. But winning that game really didn't help.
It backfired everywhere.
Like, see, he's not ready. We won. Damn it.
Oh, damn.
And, Neil, so hearing Alex, what he's been saying, but, let's talk about current Dolphins. We know your history as a Dolphins fan, brother. So let's talk about current events right now. You have training camp going on. Of course, everybody gets excited for everything. 60-yard pass, we're going to go crazy. Offensive tackle falling in his butt, we're going to go nuts, blah, blah, blah. But there are a lot of good things, though, to truthfully be excited about. Chase Edmonds is a name. I mean, he's really showing off in camp. Obviously, Tua obviously looks leaner. He's more looking a little better. Skylar Thompson is somebody I'm keeping an eye on. Braylon, oh my goodness.
Braylon Edwards.
Thank you.
Sanders.
Yeah, not Braylon Edwards. That's who I was.
I don't want him on my team.
No, me
he's got
either.
feet for
Sanders.
hands.
I like Braylon Sanders, though.
No, Sanders, I have an eye on at the Senior Bowl. Dude is such a fluent mover.
Ezukanma, man. Ezukanma is doing things,
brother. Yes. So, Neil, man, from what you've seen, what you've read about training camp right now following the Dolphins, what stands out to you, man? What is the biggest? Who stands out to you, or what stands out to you in regards to Dolphins training camp so far?
I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is Tyreek Hill's impact on the entire offense. Just his presence on the field and the spacing that he gets and the respect that he gets is allowing Tua to do a lot of things that he was not able to do last year, the year before that. Just because since there's so much attention paid to Tyreek Hill, like our defense is having issues in practice that other defenses are going to have going forward, is that they have to game plan for Tyreek Hill. So everybody else becomes secondary when Hill's on the field, and that gives Tua the ability to get the ball out to multiple people. Whereas last year it was Waddle who could get space, and then Parker making contested catches, and then Gesicki in the middle. That was it. Now it's completely unpredictable in a way because of Hill's impact on the offense just because he's there. Not to mention just, the speed and how nobody really can keep up with him. Even X, is having issues keeping up with him. Although I think X, for most of his career has done a good job with Tyreek Hill when Hill was on Kansas City. But consistently, X is even having problems with Tyreek Hill apparently. So I just think that is the biggest change and the biggest positive that will impact all of the other positives. And then just as an aside, just one that I'm very interested in is the rookie Ezukanma. That dude is playing really well for a rookie, and he really is using his size and ability to take contact and get yards after the catch, get some yak. He might be wide receiver 3. I think Cedric Wilson still has the inside track on that, but I don't think it's a given anymore. I hope that, and Cedric Wilson's a professional, I'm sure, he understands that, but I would not be shocked if Ezukanma starts as wide receiver 3.
That's a great point. And that's the thing about Miami right now. We're going to talk about wide receivers because last year, think about what Miami kind of went through. They had Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, Will Fuller, Albert Wilson, Lynn Bowden, Preston Williams, and you would go, okay, that's decent. That's cool.
Thanks.
But then, and then what do we end up with? Jalen Waddle, on and off Devontae Parker. I don't know where Albert Wilson was. Preston Williams was out.
Hey, I was told last year that Albert Wilson was going to go for 800 yards.
I remember that.
He only ended up for like 6.5 short.
That's right. But Neil, you bring up a good point though, because Ezukanma is having a great camp so far. He's really standing out. He is pushing for that 3 spot. I think Omar Kelly tweeted today or said something in an article that he was like, he wouldn't be surprised if Easy took that 3rd spot. And then Braylon Smith, the young wide receiver. And then was it River? What's his last name?
Craycraft.
Yes, he's pushing for the 6th spot. So, Miami is not short of wide receivers right now. There's a lot of talent, and that so much so, Brett, that the report is from Albert Breer that the Dolphins are not looking just to trade 1 wide receiver. They're looking to trade 2. Lynn Bowden and Preston Williams. So first off, I want to get your reaction to that, and then I want you to tell me what you think. Who do you think actually makes this roster as your starting 5-6 receivers?
Yes. So I've had a lot of conversations about wide receiver because it's one of the deepest rooms. With running back, we've talked about it's a deep room. There's only one slot likely left. They're going to carry 5, but we already know who 4 are, including the fullback. So at wide receiver, it starts to get murky after Wilson, right? Everybody's like, well, who's going to make the team? Well, we know Easy was a draft pick, and where he was drafted, he's too high to go practice squad, and he's having a good camp. He's showing off. He has special team prowess. He not only I think he can return, but I think he's going to be used as a gunner on special teams. So he has that value. The one thing we have to keep in mind, everybody, even a little bit with the 3rd receiver, everybody after the 3rd receiver has to play special teams in some type of role because you're starting to run out of players. And when special teams comes on, you don't have enough players to sit and just have your own special teams. Obviously, that's not how the NFL works. And receivers don't get enough snaps after the 3rd. So I think Ezukanma is really just pushing Lynn Bowden out. Lynn Bowden's value really plummeted between injuries and limited special teams play. He struggled on special teams as a gunner. So I think the writing was on the wall with Lynn Bowden. He's gone. I mentioned that before, that he's likely going to get traded. Preston Williams, we kind of saw how unhappy he was in this situation. It does kind of suck because he's been banged up, but he's shown flashes. And in college, if it wasn't for the off the field stuff, he would have been drafted because he bounced around and he had some issues. But the dude's got a lot of talent, concentration issues with his hands. But I'd like to see him get traded to somewhere that he can thrive. So, but it's just so much depth right now. You have 2 rookies that are doing really good, and Sanders, Ezukanma. Then you got a Craycraft, Sherfield. You got guys that are veteran special teams guys that are going to show up and do their job on special teams, and they're doing their job knowing the offense. catching the ball. So really, basically, Preston Williams just isn't getting that chance, which is why he said, I just want a chance. So he's going to get opportunity somewhere else. And whether people agree that he didn't put his fair chance in or not, I mean, he kind of hurt himself a lot. But I think it's pretty obvious. I'm not shocked by that news at all. I figured they were going to try to trade some of those guys, and they're not going to get much in return. But
No.
I mean, Bowden, those kind of guys bounce around the league. You know, they don't really find a hole or niche. They end up landing on a team that they get creative and use them in different ways. They have a couple decent seasons and kind of like fade out. So I think that's probably what's going to happen with him. I think Preston Williams might be a solid like fourth receiver somewhere that really needs one. I think Green Bay makes a ton of sense there. My co-host Steak and Cheese, he texted me, said he would like to have him in Green Bay. So, I mean, and I think Albert Breer even mentioned Green Bay with him. So that'd be nice to see. But yeah, I'm not surprised at that. When you have depth at a position, competition, there's not one ball to go around, and you got a guy publicly just frustrated, and trade him on. And props to the Dolphins to say, let's get picks or let's get something in return that we might need, like, I don't know, a center or something, and let's package these guys out so they get an opportunity while training camp is still going on to thrive somewhere else.
No, absolutely. And that's the other thing I want to ask you too, talking about players like Easy or Braylon Smith, guys who are having strong camps, impressive camps, even at the quarterback position. Obviously, Tua's having a good camp right now, all things considered. Having a great camp. But how about Skylar Thompson, the rookie quarterback, right? So, I think Teddy Bridgewater, I think obviously he's the backup. That's sealed. I don't think there's any debate there. And I think we have one of the better veteran backups in the NFL right now in Teddy Bridgewater. But a young guy like Skylar Thompson, who's having a decent camp. I mean, I see some of his plays, some of his tape, and he's looking really good. I see, he's throwing some dimes. Tua's obviously, he had that one ball into the net that everybody went crazy for, which is cool. But do you actually think that the Dolphins keep 3 quarterbacks on their roster going into this season?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, so there's McDaniel is different than everybody else. He's not the same coach. A lot of teams only carry 2, unless there's some reason to carry 3. But I think they could carry 3. It really depends on how the roster shapes up. Excuse me. And the reason I say that, unless they put Skylar Thompson, protected practice squad player, I could see 3 because Bridgewater has an injury history, right? Tua has an injury history. So if one goes down, would anybody be surprised? Let's say Tua goes down and he's not coming back, and it's like a 1 to 2 week injury. Would anybody be surprised if Teddy Bridgewater got hurt in that same game? So like
no.
Right. So like you're gonna need somebody, and so I think I could see them carrying 3 just with the injury history and concerns that they have.
I think that makes a lot of sense, especially just because of that. I think obviously if injury history wasn't in play, then the 2. But I think with Thompson having a strong camp, that helps him stay on the roster. Now, injury history or something happening like that's a whole other story. Does the Dolphins make a trade? There's a lot of connections.
And that's not knocking any player. That's more looking from a coaching standpoint, like saying like that, like Connor Williams, if he's just getting snaps at center to make up in case Dieter gets hurt, because Dieter has had some injuries in the past. That's just preparing and having an understanding that, hey, I have a guy that has an injury history. I don't need to throw my arms up during a game and say, oh, hell, he's hurt. What do I do now? No, I need to have a plan in place. 100%. So that it seems like might be what they're doing. If you look at everything they've done with like Byron Jones, the kind of resting him and letting him recover from that injury, and all these guys are stepping up, getting their snaps in. Everybody's getting their reps in, then they can see who's ready to go. It seems like they prepare. So I could definitely see them carrying 3 quarterbacks just because they're more of a prepared style of coaching staff.
And producer can leave it as is because I'm going to ask a follow-up question and we're going to go to Neil.
Okay.
But Brett, talking about Tua, you are popular to be critical of Tua.
Yes.
It's become kind of a thing, however, and I don't disagree with you most of the time. There are things to be critical about. However, he has had a strong camp. He's obviously in better shape. He has McDaniel, Tyreek and him have built that chemistry. So being true to yourself at the same time. You could, you could pour salt, you could pour some whatever, light out the fire. But tell me what you're seeing into it right now. Do you see improvement? Are you impressed or feel hopeful that this could turn around for him, in your opinion, or is it kind of like it has to be a wait and see until the season? What are you seeing? What are you liking? What are you not liking?
I'm always going to be waiting to see to the season with the entire team, not just Tua. Like show me the product on the field and show me into December. So, honestly, I think I've seen from some of the things I've seen from him. Now these are just practice videos and all. I've seen a little bit of like he's happier, a little bit lighter, but at the same time, he seems like something mentally is changing with him. He seems a little bit pissed off and agitated in a good way. Like he almost seems like he's got like this, whatever. Like I know the writing's on the wall for me this year. I'm just going to let it fly. Just whatever happens this year happens. And I kind of like that mentality because it's not like, okay, I got to be safe with the ball. It's like, hell with it. I'm just going to launch it, or hell with it. I'm just going to let it rip. You play better that way. So I'm really hoping that's like an eye-opening thing for him. Everybody compared him to Breeze coming out. Remember? Well, the thing about Breeze, I compared him a little bit more to Phillip Rivers in the sense of he has that compact throwing motion and it requires his leg base. Well, you can see that he's trusting his hip more because he's got the better hip rotation. He's turning his hip into the throws a little bit better. And but you can see in practice, he's maneuvering the pocket a lot better and setting his feet. He wasn't setting his feet right before. And one of the throws he threw an interception in practice, his feet weren't set. And I was like, see, but I'm seeing less of those issues and more of his feet being like resetting his feet when he's scrambling in the pocket because he doesn't have the arm, and it's not a knock. He doesn't have the arm to not reset his feet. He has to reset his base. He's a base thrower. That's where his power comes from, not his arm. So, which is fine because Breeze is that way, Rivers is that way. You just have to be mentally smart and remember your fundamentals. I'm starting to see that more. He's starting to go through reads consistently more. It's a lot less one reads. Now, whether that's because you see Skylar Thompson, who like his tape was not very good, but he was fun like Fitzpatrick. But like you're like he's not fundamentally sound whatsoever. But he's the offense good. Teddy Bridgewater already kind of knew a similar system. So like these guys are all running the offense pretty well. So that just tells me that the offense is it's I don't want to say it's easy. I'm not saying that at all because it's not, but it's quarterback friendly. So it should be a confidence boost. But what I'm seeing from Tua is he's understanding the offense. He's trusting his weapons. He's trusting what he's seeing a lot more, and he's letting it rip a little bit more. And so I'm seeing improvement in a lot of different things. Seeing his mental state is improving. It seems like he's studying more. It seems like he's going through his reads a little bit better, and it seems like his footwork is better. I did see him kind of struggle to go through the reads when things kind of got muddy, and I saw two plays where he got the ball off, but it would have been a sack in real time because the defender's obviously going to slow up. And I'm looking at him like, it would have been a sack or because he was late, but I don't know the whole situation, what's going on. But I could take a few bad plays. You're not going to be perfect in every play. That's going to happen. Tom Brady does that too. So you're going to have that. But so far, I have seen improvement. It hasn't been all perfect, but from what I see, what I'm hearing, he's been a lot better. Like he's put the work in. So hopefully it carries into the season.
Translates
but I see him preseason to see like game time. How does it look now? So.
Absolutely. Neil, my brother. So let's get you here and let's talk now. At least let's go to running backs because obviously, you have people now on Twitter because Kareem Hunt is demanding a trade, like a certain Brooklyn star player that's going to be discussed on the Goon Squad. But Kareem Hunt from the Cleveland Browns, is demanding a trade right now. He wants out of Cleveland. But some Dolphin fans, friend of ours, co-host of the Goon Squad as well, Third and Juan Vasquez, is saying, "Sup, Dolphins realtor?" Had something, I think, an article, or he did something where he was talking about that the Dolphins should make a move for this guy because he's better than the running backs we do have. However, Chase Edmonds has had a good camp, and seeing some videos, watching him, some tape of him, he's looked really good. So have you had a chance to see some of the running backs or see how they've been doing or reading up on them?
Yes, I have.
How are you feeling about our running back room right now? Do you think we should make a trade for Kareem Hunt?
I mean, I don't think we should make a trade for Kareem Hunt. And I guess I feel crazy saying that because Kareem Hunt is insanely talented. And Kareem Hunt has the ability to be a bell cow back. I mean, he can give you about 20 touches. If you wanted to give him 20 touches, he could find a way to do that. In space, he's great. He's a great receiver, great hands, very fast. But I think over the years, I've shifted away from wanting that just one stellar running back and wanted more of a committee approach. And if it were between Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, and Sony Michel, or Kareem Hunt and one of those guys, I think I would just want all three of them. I mean, I think Chase Edmonds is doing really well right now. I like his skill set. I think Chase Edmonds is underrated. I think in Arizona, injuries did plague him a little bit. But if Chase Edmonds had an injury-free year, I think he could put up some decent numbers. Raheem Mostert is one of the fastest players in the NFL when healthy, and he's starting to come back from that. And Raheem Mostert's a home run play waiting to happen, and that can't be understated. And I also think Raheem Mostert can take contact too. I've seen him do it. And then you've got Sony Michel, who saw Sony Michel in the Super Bowl. We saw what he can do. So I think we have a good running back room. Is Kareem Hunt an upgrade to that running back room? Yes, he is. But I think it's marginal. And I don't think it's worth the assets that would be required to go get him. Plus, it appears to me that he's practicing now, so I don't even know if he's going to be eventually traded or not. I don't know how serious that is. But if he were to be, I think I'd stand pat with the backs we have. I think we have a good situation.
What are you thinking, Brett?
No, so I agree with Neil that we're in a good situation running back room wise. I think Raheem Mostert got me excited because he's explosive and fast. He knows the system, so I was excited about that at signing. But I know who Raheem Mostert is. He's not a guy I'm going to definitely have as my lead back. He's got injury history, so I definitely want to have him in and sprinkled in, but I don't want to have him as my full carry back. And I like Edmonds. But I feel like Edmonds is more like that receiving back, more that third down back. And I think he has a perfect role. And I think he's really good in that role. I think he's actually fantastic in that role. But honestly, I'm all for adding Hunt, even with the three running backs we have. And they carry four backs. And the reason I do that is because I don't know that it's going to we have to give up much for him.
I don't think so.
I don't think it'll be much. I think you could probably package Lynn Bowden in that. And Stefanski would probably like to use him in a mix around as a little trade because they can use some depth at receiver, So I don't know if it costs much. Now, if I can agree with Neil, if it's going to cost too much again, it ain't worth it. But if it's like a 5th round pick or something, yeah, I'd be down.
Oh, yeah, I would do it for a 5th round pick.
Yeah, because even a 4th, honestly, because we have not had much luck with running backs. And I like Sony Michel. I liked him coming out of college. He's kind of disappointed me a little bit because he's not been as good as I thought he can be. But in my head, I think they can mix in Kareem Hunt. I would say Kareem Hunt, Sony Michel's like the Thunder, Lightning as the 1-2. And then you have Raheem Mostert just comes in. He is your Lightning. And then Edmonds coming on third downs. And then you could have two backs on the field at the same time. So I think and they've carried four backs. And if you think of it this way, you have four backs, right? Is Hunt better than all the guys at the bottom of the roster? Hell yeah. He's better than Dokes. He's better than Gaskin. And I would trade Gaskin there too. Hey, here's Gaskin, Bowden, and a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Here's a depth guy to replace, a guy who has experience as our starting back, as a decent back to replace Hunt's carry. So,
and I was about to ask you, for example, I was just gonna do a follow up with Kareem Hunt. Because I know the reason he's asking out is because he wants an extension. And I know we got the cap space. But what does an extension for him look like here in Miami if we do trade for him, for example?
For a Kareem Hunt?
Yeah, for a Kareem Hunt.
I honestly couldn't see more than a 3-year contract. I mean, he knows the West Coast style of system. He knows the outside zone system. He ran out with Andy Reid. He runs out with Kevin Stefanski in a variation. And we know he's a talented running back. So I think you're looking at a guy like him. Actually, I have his contract up right now. I was actually prepared, almost like I knew that question. So he's in his final year of his contract, right?
Yeah, he is.
So, and he's like looking at $6.5 million cap hit, and he's 28 this year. So he's still young enough that, I'd give him a 2-year with like a 1-year option. You know what I mean? So I could see like another 2 years added on that, and it's like more of an upfront kind of contract. Like next year, here's your money. You're going to get most of it up front. Then if after that your play declines in your 30-year-old year, you've got your money up front, and we cut just no sweat off our back and no sweat off your back. So
I will say this too, the Dolphins Realtor, and I appreciate you tuning in, man. And guys, if you haven't yet, you're watching Fins Talk Overtime. Hit that like and subscribe button for great Dolphins content, sports content for the Fins Talk Sports Network. And then follow us on Twitter. But he said, I've been talking about this guy. I think he's going to be a huge addition to this Dolphins offense. I think he's going to make such an impact in the running game. Now I'm talking about the actual running backs. I'm talking about Alec Ingold. So rather it's Kareem Hunt or Mozart or Edmonds or Michelle, those guys are going to have a very good season. The running game in general, which I have rated, they were like, I forgot where they were. I think they were 32nd in the NFL last year. They were like almost dead last. I don't have it in front of me. But I have them actually making it all the way to 10 rushing in the NFL because of Ingold, because of McDaniel, because of the backs we do have. And Kareem Hunt, obviously, I'm all for it because I love bell cow backs, but I think I don't think that eliminates those guys out of the running back room or takes away some of the snaps because how McDaniel kind of coaches the running scheme with the running backs. I think those guys still have a decent chance to get some snaps, but Kareem Hunt obviously elevates that. And Alec Ingold is going to be such a huge asset in Miami that if you don't even get a Kareem Hunt, you're still going to have a strong season, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I don't have any doubt that running attack will succeed with the backs they have, as is.
I think, yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool. What is if they want to go get Kareem Hunt? I'm not against that whatsoever. I'll be very happy with that move.
You guys know, most of you that follow me on Twitter know me. I'm always for upgrading, especially with proven talent.
100%.
So, now I understand the character concerns with Hunt and all that stuff, so I get it. But
yeah,
hell, wouldn't mind having him either way.
Alex is just about potential. He doesn't care about what they've proven. It's about potential. He don't give a damn about if it's proven already. Yeah. They might be great. They may be something. We can't miss out on
Come on, man. It's my first time on the show. Come on.
But that's sometimes you have to go by that. Sometimes you have to just roll the dice and say, man, I think this guy could be special.
Not when you can get a former league MVP who's one of the best ever. Sometimes you just got to live and let go. You know what I'm saying?
But that's fine. That's different.
Jesus Christ, man. Jesus.
Are we talking heat? Are we talking heat stuff now?
Yeah, he was talking heat. He was trying to throw a jab in there. Don't worry about it. I was
Wait till Wednesday. We got good stuff. All right, so let's stick with Dolphins. That's Alex. Preseason.
Yeah.
First. What a segue to give Alex up front here.
I know.
Horrible, man. What a host, man. What a host.
So preseason's right around the corner. The start of the Saturday, Dolphins versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Evan, Brett, brought this up on Fins Talk today that he actually believes that Tua is going to play one series.
I'm sure.
So, Alex, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think would you like to see Tyreek, Tua, Jalen Waddle play one series in game one of preseason, or would you rather them wait, sit it out? What do you think they should do?
Oh, man, I'm absolutely down for them to play one series. I believe McDaniel's the type of coach. He mentioned something the other day. He's like, obviously, in these open practices and all these videos, you're not going to always release all your actual formations, all your actual plays. But for the most part, what you do showcase is like you have to be good enough to one day know to execute even when what the defense knows is coming. So I'm all for. I believe McDaniel's one of those type. He has that cocky side to him. Where he's humble. He's very creative, but he has that cocky side. It's like he's gonna give people a little preview of what this season is gonna be like. Not too much. He's not gonna open up the whole vault, but you're gonna get a few exciting plays, a few exciting play calls, especially in the first preseason. But then obviously you got to sit him down. You can't risk injury.
Neil. So following up with that. Is there any player that or position group that you're excited with seeing this first preseason game?
I mean, I kind of want to see how the offensive line does against some starters for at least the first series. If the Bucs put their starters out there on the D line and their linebackers, I'd like to see how our new offensive line holds up, particularly Austin Jackson at right tackle, because I've only seen a couple of clips that have given me hope that Austin Jackson may, be serviceable at right tackle. But I'm going to need to see a lot more to believe it, And I think Austin Jackson, first series preseason game, holding his own. I would be pumped if I could see that, because that is still my number one concern with this team, and the thing I think will hold this team back from greatness that I think they could succeed this year is that offensive line. And until I see, because I'm not too worried about the wide receivers. I mean, those guys, they're gonna do good things this season, right? They're gonna do great things, that's for sure. I think a close second would be the running backs. I'd like to see how they do, against starters on the, especially particularly Tampa Bay starters. That would be a good test. That'd be a good first series to see how the running game goes. But the offensive line is it for me. I want to see it. I want to see how they do.
I think it's a great point. And obviously, Alex, you're very hyped up. You're excited. You see a lot of potential in Tua this coming season. Obviously, you believe in him, and you've been hyping him up. And you got Tyreek, Chase Edmonds, Mozart, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson, Easy E, etc. All that is very exciting. But you go to the offensive line. Everybody last season was talking about that offensive line. Dolphins need to do more. Dolphins need to do more. Dolphins need to do more. They go out. They sign Terron Armstead. Great, left tackle. They go get Connor Williams, left guard, 11th best guard. They move him to the center. So your left guard right now is Eichenberg. Your right guard is Robert Hunt, which is good. Center is an experiment. And then right tackle is Austin Jackson. So really left tackle and right guard are your only solid for sure things, unless, of course, he goes down, Terron Armstead. Other than that, it's a bunch of question marks. How confident are you in this offensive line? How confident are you in the coaching staff to get the best out of this offensive line? Because in real game action, no more practice, no more friendly fire. It's real players, opposing team, imposing their will, going after your quarterback. How confident are you in this offensive line going into next season? You're muted.
I'm not going to say I'm 100% sure it's going to be successful. Experiment-wise, what they're doing with Connor Williams, you can see the effort is there, the desire to succeed. And what I love is it seems to be that we have an offensive line coach that is actually willing to be invested in his unit. You're going to see improvement. Even in preseason, you've seen improvement, which was one of my biggest frustrations from last year when you saw the O-line coach. It was John Pierre, right? John Pierre something. There was no I'm not talking about in-game adjustments. There was no improvements in season or any changes that you saw improvement-wise when it came to either mechanics, shifting. I know they shifted maybe a few or two players here, shifted roles, but there was no – you didn't have confidence. And I believe the players in tune didn't have confidence in themselves because you see that within your coach. I do feel, and I mentioned to you, I don't know much about it, but actually I want to throw it up to you guys. In regards to the offense, I see a lot of more shotgun play action with Tua, and I believe Austin Jackson has better lateral movement when he's on the right side, moving towards right. So I don't know if obviously Tua's a lefty, so predominantly he's going to roll to the left. So you have your strong suit there. But I want to know what you guys think about Austin Jackson as a right tackle, and if that lateral quickness is a little bit better on the right side than on the left side for him, because I feel he struggled a lot going towards his left.
Brett, you want to respond?
So yeah, obviously Tua's better rolling to his left. Although I did see a couple throws where he looked pretty good rolling to his right, which is making me feel better. But Austin Jackson just scares me. He's a good mover. He's a fluent mover. He moves really well. But I don't know. I mean, he moved pretty well to the left in college too, and sliding. But I don't know if right tackle is his home or not. It's very concerning for me with him at right tackle. I'm not really 100% sold yet, although I have said he fits his system better. But I don't know if it's a match with him at right tackle either. I don't know. I haven't
you see him more as a guard?
I actually liked him at left guard last year. I really did. And a lot of people didn't like him but I saw a little bit more nastiness. I saw him thinking less. At tackle, you have to think a little bit more because you're
react quicker.
Inside, you have to you're dealing with stunts and twists and stuff, but you have a little bit more help. Somebody on your left and right. At tackle, you have to be able to think quick and react because a lot of times you have a running back who's a couple yards away from you, or a tight end who might not be able to handle that block on his own. So you have to react a little faster, or you're out on an island by yourself. So those are your options. So you have to be able to respond. As a guard, you're like, I got my center next to me, I got my tackle next to me, and I got a running back behind me. I should be okay. So, I felt like he did pretty good. And against the Bills, he actually was a road grader. So I think, honestly, if Connor Williams has to stay at center, and we have someone else that could play right tackle that's at a higher level, I would actually move him to guard. But he's had moments where he's looked really good and moments where he's looked really bad. My biggest problem with him is when the play breaks down, his footwork gets so bad and gets outside of his shoulders a lot. Him and Eichenberg, for some reason, I don't know if Greer loves drafting guys like that, but both of them, their footwork gets so bad when they get overwhelmed. And when Jackson gets stuck and he's lost, his feet kind of stop moving and his feet get wide. But I'm pretty confident in the coaching staff to get the most out of him at the same time. If you can move Connor Williams back to left guard and put a proven center, even Dieter back at center, I would have a lot more faith in Austin Jackson being the weak link in that sense at right tackle.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Now, great points all around, really. In regards to Austin Jackson, obviously he's in a lot better shape this offseason. He's worked his ass
a damn
off.
good athlete too. And that was the one thing that stood out and why they wanted to draft him, because he is a hell of an athlete. He's not, and he can be nasty and mean.
No,
so I just want to put that out there.
No, you're good. And but I was going to say too, because you were just saying, so he has some great play. He looks really good, and there's other times you're again falling on his ass in there during training camp, and then pancaking Jalen Phillips. And then you want to talk about strength training, and he's gotten better shape. He's taking this seriously, and I'm rooting for the kid, just like I'm rooting for Imbanagani.
You know who set that up? Who set up that pancake? Ingold.
Yes,
your boy. Sorry, I just wanted you to be hyped for that.
You tagged me in that video about Ingold, and that's why I thought. But then I noticed the Phillips thing with Austin Jackson, and I'm just saying, I'm hyped up on Ingold, Brett. But watching Jackson do that to a player, obviously the physical stature of Jalen Phillips, who we all expect to be a big part of this defense this coming season, have a big year. That gives me hope that Jackson is hitting that second tier of his career. He's put the work in regards of his body, but you're right as well. It comes to the mental aspect of it, knowing where to place your feet, knowing where this guy's coming, if he's going to come through the inside or the outside, or if he's going to try to bump. It's just guard. I don't want to simplify the positions, but like you were saying, guard. It's just protection and a little more. Where tackle, like you were saying, it's mental as well, where you got to kind of think, kind of predict where they're going and doing the right thing, not to pull a hold. But I liked what I saw there, because if he could go manhandle someone like Phillips, it gives me more peace of mind that he could do that, because that's to his blind side. People were all excited about Terran Armstead. Armstead is on the left side. That's not to his blind side. To his blind side is right here. If Tua gets smashed from this end because he's not seeing it, it's done, because he's made out of fiberglass. And I'm not knocking it's just what it is. So that's why, to me, it's that right tackle position was way more important than the left tackle. I like Armstead, but I was really looking for a right tackle, a bookend right tackle to protect Tua's blind side if we were to stick with Tua. Neil, do you have any response, brother? I know you started this conversation.
No, I agree that I am worried about Austin Jackson. I'm always going to be worried about Austin Jackson until he shows me otherwise. And I have seen these positive videos, but I think this preseason, and maybe it shouldn't be, but this preseason in week 1, I think it's going to tell me how this offensive line is going to hold up. I do, especially the game where the starters play the first half or most of it, the first quarter or most of it, because I don't want to get hyped up about another season and then the offensive line let me down miserably. I can't do it. I can't do it to myself.
I will say, I love that point. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And that's why it's so important, because we put such an emphasis. We're all excited about the exterior of the offense, the talent, because there is so much talent. You know, we're so excited about, and I'm talking about Dolphin fans, about the potential of what Tua can be because of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson, Easy E, Braylon Smith, who's coming out, River Minecraft. Sorry, Sanders, whatever. We'll get him. Hopefully he makes the roster. Then we'll remember the name. But the running backs, Mozart and Chase Edmonds and whatever, there's so much excitement there, and I get it. But this is why I tell people that's why there's cause to pause. You know, there's a reason why you should damper it down just a bit.
Because of the offensive line.
Because of the offensive line.
Because of the offensive line.
Because that will make or break you. Because guess what? Everybody seems to forget that everybody was clamoring for a brand new offensive line. We need a center. We need a tackle. We need 2 tackles. We need another guard. Right guard is okay. And then lo and behold, Dolphins really just revamped the wide receiver room. The receiver room is perfect. It's the offensive line. Not much has changed. You have an all-pro left tackle and a guard who was 11th. Yes, he was 11th best ranked guard in the NFL. But he got benched because he got the most penalties, I think, by a guard. He had like 11 penalties. And then he's not even starting at guard. He's your center. And that's an experiment. So that's a question mark. So with all the excitement that we have going on for this season and this offense, it's very sexy and happy and, everything's good, go lucky during training camp because it's training camp. And those guys can't hit the quarterback. Those guys can't do those things. I'm talking about our defense that we have high expectations for. But guess what? I'm not talking about preseason. Well, maybe preseason, but the New England Patriots in week 1, they can hit your quarterback. They will go after your weak link on offensive line. What if Terron Armstead goes down, and who's your left tackle? Are you confident in Austin Jackson at left tackle? Eichenberg? Are you confident in Connor Williams, who struggled at center for the small amount of time he did in Dallas last year? I'm not so sure. Offensive line is still a question. That's why when people go, as my brother here on the bottom says, 3rd best offense, 3rd best defense. I'm not so sure. And I'm not trying to be negative. What I'm saying, I'm being realistic. You have to look at that offensive line. Unless they make a huge turnaround this season, that's where I say, yes, this has a potential playoff team. Legitimate. They are a quarterback away from being legitimate. And Tua can be that. But if that offensive line is anything close to what last year was, unless you got, and I'm not knocking Tua, I'm just saying, unless you got Joe Burrow back there who went to the Super Bowl with a 30th ranked offensive line, there's nothing's going to happen.
Well, the other thing I want to bring up with the offensive line, how do you protect the offensive line? Run the football. So how do you protect the quarterback? Run the football. So what did we bring in? A coach that does that, and you can do that with. That's why I brought up Ingold earlier. You can run the football, chip the linebacker, get the pancakes, get the open run lanes, get that going, get play action going. Play action doesn't have to have a successful run game to work, which a lot of people think the opposite. It's just a commitment to running the ball. You have to be committed to running the football, whether it's successful or not. The willingness to run the ball is what gets play action to work, and this offensive staff does that. However, when the run game is clicking, you have to respect that. You have to start pulling guys in the box, and that's when good things happen. So that helps get the ball out quicker. However, my biggest concern, as much as we just talked about Austin Jackson, is Connor Williams playing out of position.
Yep.
Because who's at left guard? That's scarier.
Eichenberg. Yep.
That's scary to me. And I was an Eichenberg guy.
That is scary.
And he has not shown the stuff that I thought he would show in the NFL.
That's what I'm saying.
That's scarier to me at left guard than Austin Jackson at right tackle. I would rather see just Connor Williams go back to left guard where he's solid. But
Ben paid J305. Thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hope Armstead is not another Brandon Albert.
Hey,
Albert.
Brandon Albert was really good when he was healthy.
He was when healthy. Omar Kelly shook his head today at the idea of keeping 6 wide receivers. Do you think he's accurate?
Probably.
Do you think
Omar Kelly's probably right? We'd probably keep about 5.
Can you name 5? The 5.
The 5?
Yeah, if you had to choose.
If I had to choose. All right, yeah. So here's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Hill, Waddle, Wilson, obviously. Izukama. Probably going to go Sherfield at his 5th spot for the special teams. And then I think Braylon Sanders is a protected practice squad player.
Gotcha. Okay, I think that's a good point. A good thing. Alex, you had a response earlier.
Oh, actually, Brett touched upon it because I was talking about. I was thinking, what the improvement in offensive line? How do you measure the improvement of the offensive line? And the fact is that when you change an offense, this offensive scheme is much easier on the offensive line than last year's scheme. So, the improvement, even if there's no improvement, quote unquote, you're going to see a more efficient offensive line. But
Agreed.
how do you measure? At what point do you pull the plug in the season? This is just theoretically. I'm here thinking out loud. You see, you look like you're going to have an exciting offense. You're going to have an exciting defense. You're going to have an overall exciting football team. At what point, if the offensive line, if you see Jackson struggling, what in-season adjustments do you see that we can make? Just me as a fan, since obviously I don't have the knowledge that you have. What in-season adjustments can you make within the same personnel? If there's no shifting in personnel, what adjustments can you make to offset any lack of production that you see?
Well, okay, just to answer very quick, and Brett, you could follow up. For me, I'm not a big fan of in-season adjustments on the offensive line. You know, because it really could screw up your offense, I think, or your flow. You might be able to move one guy, but if you got to move Connor Williams back to guard and put Eichenberg at right tackle, or and then take Jackson out, and then you put Dieter back at center, or you sign some guy from the practice squad to be at center, that's going to really mess it up because people already. That's one thing Evan brought up from watching training camp when he was there was. And I like that both of them after camp they were still practicing, but a lot of overthrows on Tua from Connor Williams, high snaps. So if that's an issue now, just imagine if they take Connor Williams out and they say, "Oh, let's put you at guard now because we're struggling. Let's put Dieter at center, or put whoever, some guy that they interviewed 3 dudes or something. They brought him in for some practice, and then you move Eichenberg back at tackle or whatever. They start switching this all around." Then it's going to mess up the flow of your offense. That's me. I'm just not a big fan of doing all these midseason adjustments. Brett, do you want to go ahead and respond?
Yeah, so I actually don't mind midseason adjustments because if something's not working, change it. Don't let it spiral out of hand. But you don't just – I do agree with you, Bobby. If something's a problem now, fix it.
Yes.
So –
fix it before.
Connor Williams struggles at center, and yet they keep him at center. Tells me one of two things: they don't have a lot of options at center, or, and this could be both, they really want him to get snaps at center because he's the most capable center. There's something with his game because Dallas tried the same thing; it didn't work out so well. But it seems that they're trying to get him snaps at center to try to see if he can improve. That I think they believe that Dieter will be back for the regular season, or by the end of preseason and the camp, and he can take over that center job, and they can move Williams back to left guard. And if Dieter gets hurt, he's their fallback plan, as I mentioned earlier. And then Eichenberg's getting snaps at left guard, so maybe that's what they're trying to figure out. But we will have more answers more than just camp because you'll see how guys perform in camp, and a lot of times the competition is like tight, it's close. And when they get to the game time, then you'll start seeing things spread. You'll start seeing guys pull away and say, like, game time, look at me during the game. I'll practice. We're right neck and neck at practice, but during the game, you see I make a difference. That guy does the same thing in practice. He's not there. So you'll start to see, okay, who's working, who's not. And then that's when I think we'll start to see a little bit of shuffling going on. So I think they want to wait to see a little bit more of a game time thing. But and they only got 3 games. So usually by game 2, they'll kind of have that settled in and who's going to be starting and all that stuff. But I don't think the job's done on the offensive line yet. I think they are going to shuffle, and if it's not working, find a way it works. And if Connor Williams starts the year at center and it's not working, put him back to guard. But get a center now that can, if Dieter's not already, get a center now. Which maybe J.C. Treader's available. Which I just found out that part of the reason teams don't want NFLPA president in camp. Whatever reason that is, whatever the correlation is.
That's been around forever, though. That's been a while now.
So I don't understand the correlation. I don't know, but so he might not sign till later in the year. So or later in the offseason. So we'll see. and we can grab him and put Williams back to left guard, oh my God, I'll be stoked for this offensive line.
Yes. Yes.
So Neil, you started this another good conversation with the offensive line. I mean, I'm with you, man. Even now, even if Terran Armstead obviously doesn't play this first game, I want to see what Austin Jackson does. I want to see what Connor Williams does if he plays.
I want to see what Coleman. I want to see all the backup left tackles.
That's what I was about to
Coleman's
say.
The
sorry. Backups. No, you're good. No, you're good. Go right ahead. No, but that's what I want to see. I want to see those because it's so important. The depth. It's so important. Those other guys. What Coleman can do. What Kellen Deach can do out of Arizona State. You know those guys. Excuse me. Robert Jones.
Right.
You know,
love me some Robert Jones.
Exactly.
Solomon Kinley too, man. Like
Solomon Kinley. Nobody talks.
Is there a resurgence? Maybe I don't know.
Is he in shape this year? Because I mean, like, he's been sloppy.
He has been sloppy. He has been. There was such promise there. There really was. But I think just generally, like, I think my largest point was, and I maintain it, is that, you know, I have to see this offensive line be serviceable together as a unit. I have to see them do more good than bad for me to have full faith and confidence that we're going to reach that goal this year. We're going to get to the playoffs, and we're not going to get embarrassed, and we may win a game. You know what I mean? Because for me, winning a playoff game would be a successful season for me. And maybe that's not good enough, right? Like maybe some of you are like, no, I want to see more. But for me, just because of how bad things have been, if I can see them win a playoff game,
I agree with that.
And be competitive in the second game,
yeah,
that would be great.
I mean, winning a playoff game would be
win a playoff game, and I'll be satisfied.
And that only happens if this offensive line is. It doesn't matter how great our offensive weapons are, in my opinion. It just won't matter if the offensive line isn't good enough. And you know what? There's one thing that Brett said that is very true, and I don't think I'm giving enough credit to. He is right. The running game does take pressure off the offensive line and the duties they have to do, and it does take pressure off what the passing game has to do. And Alec Ingold is going to be a huge help to the offensive line. So there is something to be said for that. But even with that addition, if the offensive linemen aren't serviceable, and I'm not talking about Teron Armstead, and Robert Hunt, I'm more talking about Connor Williams, wherever he ends up, and, our center and right tackle. If those three guys aren't serviceable, we're going to have problems. And it's going to be very sad and unfortunate.
And the good thing is this system actually is known to have to run the offensive line. It's known to kind of get guys into a role, and it takes pressure off of them. Like
the Shanahan system.
Yeah, it's easier. Like Alex hit nail on the head. This is going to be easier in these offensive linemen this year than it was last year. Right now, we have two players locked in. You have Armstead and Hunt. Those are the only two players that we can pretty much pin in where they are right now. So we'll see what happens there. But I think, honestly, all in all, I think we'll see improvement on the offensive line.
I think it'd be as bad as the Monday night against the Saints. So
no, and I think it'll be far more improved than it was last year. I think the offensive line will look good. I think they'll find their answer. But I don't be surprised if we start seeing, like, after the first preseason game, I'm predicting it now, that we start seeing different names jump in there, and they start shuffling around to see who can play. And on Armstead, I don't want him starting week.
No, I don't want Armstead to play either.
I don't even want him to play. Like it just
no.
I know what you are.
Armstead won't play.
Yeah, we'll play you week 2, and then week 3 you're gonna sit again. Maybe a couple plays week 3. I don't know.
And I will say, as we're rolling up here, to first off, again, Dolphins Realtor, thank you for tuning in. Everyone, Steve, everybody, and then Matthew Hicks, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at the Fins Talk Network, and then of course the Fins Talk Sports Network on YouTube. Hopefully, these new offensive line coaches can bring these first and second round prep picks up to par where they're expected to be. I agree. Again, I never with the offensive line, everybody was last season talking about we need to sign this guy, we need to do this, we need to do that. And even now they're talking about JC Treader. Brett just mentioned him. A lot of people on Twitter always bring him up. And again, it's not about signing people, in my opinion. It's about developing them. because we have players on this team that have potential to be decent or good enough offensive linemen. It's just that they haven't had the coaching to do it. And so I do believe, I'm cautiously optimistic about this coaching staff that they could get the best out of the players that we do have. With Terran Armstead, who's an all-pro, a veteran. He's going to help. Eichenberg's at left guard. That's a huge question mark for me. But I think with Connor Williams to his right and and then Armstead to his left, I think he's in a better position to succeed than a Austin Jackson, because he has those two guys on his right and left to help coach him and kind of get him through. It's the Jackson question mark, and of course Connor Williams at center. That my question mark, my thoughts are I'm a little confused with and worried for. But with that, again, I thank everybody for tuning in. You're watching Overtime on the Finstock Sports Network. I thank Alex, Atia Chiska, and Neil for joining us. You could catch them on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Goon Squad. They talk about the Miami Heat. So if you like the Heat, you want to learn about what's going on with Kevin Durant possibly coming to Miami. He made his demand trade, or excuse me, not his demand trade, but he made the demand to his owner to either trade him or to keep Nash and Sean Hicks, or what's the hell's his name, Alex?
Steve Nash and Sean Marks. Yeah.
Marks.
And actually, I'll read a tweet by the owner. The actual owner tweeted officially a little. This was
the Nets owner?
Let me pull it up. The Nets owner tweeted. Let me see. Let me actually put up the exact verbatim. Let me see here. I had it right now and it's gone. Where'd it go? Whoa! Hold on. Give me a second.
The show, huh? This is what you guys. If you haven't seen the Goon Squad, this is exactly how it goes. No, I'm just kidding.
And not at all. Not at all. Don't listen to him. The exact quote is, and our front office and coaching staff have my support. We will make decisions in the best interest of the Brooklyn Nets. That is directly from the owner, Joe Tsai. So the writing's
Bye,
on
Durant.
the wall.
Bye, Durant. Bye, Durant.
Now we play
And
chicken.
Steve Nash. I don't agree with that. I think that's dumb.
I think it's dumb too.
You had a superstar
You fire
player
him.
who likes his coach in the NBA.
Yeah.
You keep that.
Yeah, you
I
fire
say,
Steve Nash,
okay,
you
Durant,
keep
we're going to
Durant.
keep that coach in him, and we're going to build a team around that. Okay, cool. What an idiot.
What an idiot.
So get more if you're
The
interested.
owner of the Nets is an idiot for that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Here's a 76ers fan.
Shots fired. Hey, I must have a thing for teams that like to tamper, because the 76ers were getting reported for tampering with players too.
That's right. But hey, tune in Wednesday night for the Goon Squad at 8 p.m. And of course, Brett Legassi pulling double duty. He has a brand new show Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Very excited about this. It's called Huddle Up and Wait. It's not. It's
Sir.
NFL. They discuss every team, everything going on. Brett, fill us in. Let the people know what the show's about, man.
So the show is me and my good buddy Dave Steger, Steak and Cheese. That's his handle on Twitter. He's a veteran. He's an Army guy. I'm Air Force, so he didn't score as high in the ASVAB as me, but that's okay. We'll hold that against him. He's a Packers guy, being a Dolphins guy, but it's all unbiased NFL coverage, so we're going to talk about injuries. We're going to talk about free agency. We're going to talk about all the latest news and all that stuff. We, start to see some players getting banged up. You see Tyler Linderbaum with Liz Frank injury, missing 1 to 2 weeks. You got Mekhi Becton, who's possibly ACL and MCL, so he's done for the year. So there's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, like the Jet situation with that, the Ravens situation at center. So we've got a lot of stuff talking about now. Starting to get to that heat, we're going to start seeing cuts, and it's an exciting time to do that. And we're going to be completely unbiased, and we're going to tell a little bit of veteran stories, drink a lot of beer, and I'm going to try to keep up.
Beers and beers.
Yeah, Dave's got a kegerator, man. I'm like, oh, hold up, man. I got to get a cooler in here.
That's right. It's good. Like I say, when I was mentioning it on Twitter, sit back, grab your favorite beer, and enjoy some football talk with two vets who know what the hell they're talking about, two awesome dudes, and I'm excited that are part of this network.
And Dave has some ties with some former players.
And that's the other
show
thing.
With Jimmy Smith, and those of you old enough to remember how great he was with the Jaguars, with the Fred Taylor, Mark Brunell days. So that's it's pretty cool to have somebody who has some connections.
Some guests on the show. That it's very exciting. Of course, you got the Goon Squad, and then before Huddle Up and Wait, you got another Dolphins show which is called Bottoms Up Fins Up with Mike the Hebrew Hammer Brown and his dad Lewis. I'm excited about that. And again, if you guys want to talk sports, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, pro
hockey,
wrestling or boxing, hockey, reach out to me, reach out to Alex or Brett, whatever. They'll tell me, reach out to us, and we'll be happy to have you guys on. We're growing. We're excited about it. Let me see if I can remember anything before I forget. Oh, overtime. Me and Brett's been talking. And we still Dolphin centric, but we want to kind of be ahead of the curve. So we will start as college football starts talking about draft prospects, certain players you should be watching, especially if you're Dolphin fans. So we want to be ahead of the curve. We're not going to wait till the offseason, next offseason to talk the draft. We're going to be talking throughout the season, just kind of give you guys a heads up of which players you should be watching, especially if you're Dolphin fans. So that's something to look out for as we begin moving forward this coming season. But until then, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching Fins Talk Overtime. Like and subscribe to the channel, the Fins Talk Sports Network. Follow us on Twitter at Fins Talk Network. Until then, we will see you. The next show is Goon Squad on Wednesday night with Alex and Tiachiska, Neil and Juan, possibly Harrison, whoever knows. But we'll see you all then. Till then, like, subscribe, and most importantly, Fins up.
Fins up.
Fins up.